Good morning and welcome to the AI Executive Morning Buzz. This is your go to live broadcast for real time AI insights, industry trends, and executive level analysis. And as always, promised, without the hype and noise. I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and I'm here with Jason Hess, the AI expert. We can't wait to talk about our topics today. So let's jump right in for the next 30 minutes as you're driving to work, sipping on your coffee, getting your workout in, or maybe doing some meditation, or you're just passionate about AI. We're going to be talking about AI initiatives this year in 2025. Shoot, we may even talk about next year. Next, we're also going to talk about being an AI first company. Can't wait to chat about that, especially for those of you in the C suite roles like CHROs. We're going to be talking about that space a lot, but it can go into any department. And then finally, we're going to circle back. There's been a lot of conversation and DMs on our pages on LinkedIn and some other platforms around AI agents and what it really means. And I want to smoothen that out with Jason. So, Jason, why don't we talk about AI initiatives? We recently had a great conversation with Melissa Kraft, the CIO of the city of Frisco. And now we're starting to see some ripple effects, or at least it's coming out on the headlines. And we wanted to give an example about what's going on in Florida, right? On how they're starting to roll out the government of Florida, how they're starting to roll out some AI initiatives. I know you did a lot of research there. You want to walk us through that?
Sure. Thanks, Albert. So let's first talk about. I don't think you've got a voice for headspace, so I don't think a lot of people are meditating while listening to
Yeah.
this.
We
But
need that.
yes, you definitely need that meditation. I just don't know that our high energy is going to be what's going to help people meditate. So
I'm going to work on
I
my
do think that drinking
tone.
coffee, driving to work is a perfect use of listening to us, but
Good
meditating,
point.
not yet. Maybe we spike this off, and we'll do a meditation podcast next.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, like you were saying, we had a great conversation with Melissa Kraft last week that was released on Monday about
So
what
good.
she's doing for the city of Frisco. Great conversation. If you've not read that or listened to that, please go there. There's a lot of great insights of how to lead your organization through change, through an AI
Yes.
adoption, and be able to do that. But what we've seen is Florida's doing something very similar, and I think they're taking a playbook of Doge and really start utilizing AI to address the fraud, waste, and abuse use cases across the government and the
So
state
good.
government. And this is a great use of how you can use AI to be able to do that, because AI will help you find those needles in a haystack. They'll find where those issues where fraud could potentially be happening. That doesn't mean that it's a smoking gun. It just points you to a point where you want to start investigating and understanding more. So being able to compute all of this large data that we have available to us, now having a tool like generative AI to be able to ask questions and start identifying, hey, give me who's got the most consistent payments being paid out. Like, what's going on here? Why are we sending out payments 5 times a week to this one company? You can start investigating that and being able to understand that. So I think this is definitely a use case where I see a lot of value, where AI can help identify a lot of that fraud capability, to help with cost savings, to help with understanding where that's going. But I think this is where there's a lot of great opportunities where AI can help you.
Yeah, you're spot on. We heard it from Melissa right now. We're starting to see it in Florida. And I don't think they're the only ones, right? That's obviously making the headlines now. And to your point, right, we're starting to see some replication from the Doge initiatives. And I think it's because the public is saying, hey, what are you doing with my taxpayer dollars, right? And governments are starting to realize, well, we have this technology to really shape things up. The only thing I thought about was, and we see this on the national headlines, but let's talk about local state government, local city is, how does that impact the labor force specifically in those government entities in our cities? And so Melissa and I chatted about that a little bit, but I wanted to get your thoughts on, well, what does that look like? Are we going to see people be laid off in these local governments, and that can impact our local communities, or are they going to be repositioned? Are we at the point where it's all in on AI, specifically in government? Is it all in? What do you think?
So I think that this is a common thing that we're hearing in every industry about what do I do with the people that are doing a specific task?
Right.
Their task is being automated through AI. What are they going to do? And I don't think it's just a binary, they're either stay or they go. There
Right.
is a lot of other things that you don't have the time during the day to do that AI will allow you to focus on. It may be reaching out to your customers more, understanding where their pain points are, identifying what else you can do to be able to do that. So I know that for myself, I have a long list of to-do lists. I don't get to that entire to-do list, even with AI helping me. So this is where I feel it's going to open people up to start working on that next level value proposition for their companies, for their cities, for their states, where they can then be unlocked, where they're not doing a task a very tedious task that maybe doing a financial spreadsheet evaluation or generating a presentation to prepare to the mayor's office. You now have more flexibility to really focus on what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. And
Right.
you're able to do that where a lot of that prep time was just building out the presentation. So these are ways that AI is going to help unlock. I don't think it's the binary, you know, we don't need these people now because we've got PowerPoint generations that automatically presents that information where anyone can get that. So I think that's where I think it's just going to open people up to do more impactful things.
Yeah, so good. And just circling back to the waste, fraud, and abuse, right? I think, in past, while there might have been some, what I would call our local community leader activists saying, "Hey, where are our taxpayer dollars going?" They're making it to every meeting, right? We're scrubbing through the financials that are public, and now I think it's more of a we all get to jump in, and we're all asking, "Hey, what's going on?" And we obviously see the national headlines. So I really love that a lot of local governments and states are now starting to use this technology, right, to mitigate loss prevention, right, and to make sure that our regulatory initiatives are sound. So I mean, really,
But I
oh,
do
go
want
ahead.
to make sure that people are cautioned. Like, this is not a silver bullet. This is not going to give
Good
you all
point.
of your answers.
Yeah.
There still is potential for biasy concerns that you be able to, not every data is good quality data. So making decisions off of data, like that's one of my pet peeves is when companies say, I'm a data driven organization. I'm like, no, you're not. No one's a data driven organization. You're a data informed, but you're not a data driven organization because if you're making decisions off of data, you'd have a lot better quality data. So just making
Right.
sure that the data you have is quality. Make sure there's bias considerations as well as privacy. Making sure you understand
Good point.
exactly the privacy of that data. What are the decisions you're making off there? So just want to make sure people go in with eyes wide open that it's not just as easy as a push button. Let me use AI and identify all the fraud. You've got to do a lot of that back end work to make sure that it's available and ready for decision making.
So true. And we're going to talk about data first, AI first organizations here in a sec. I was talking to a colleague here yesterday. We were having dinner and we're working on a real estate situation, a real estate deal. And one of the things, and he's out in California, by the way, which, no hard feelings. I'm originally from there, but, finding a way to do business pretty smooth there can be difficult. And so, what I thought was unacceptable was that he still had to go into a local government office, which, by the way, knowing California traffic, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to get anywhere, right? And that he had to go in there, he had to go back and forth and fill out paperwork. And I'm like, with the technology at our fingertips, that's just unacceptable. Like, that is what I would call a waste of time, waste, and maybe even payroll. But just what could that employee have been doing other than going back and forth, someone coming in to the local to the what I would call quote unquote local, somewhat close government office. It's just we're so past those times, right? So I think we as community members need to challenge our local entities with the technology at our fingertips with discernment. To your point, it's not a silver bullet, right? And there's case studies for it, and there's still some things we need to iron out.
And it's a journey. It's not going to be
Right.
here just because we have this technology doesn't mean it's going to be easily implemented. And there's a lot of organizations have a lot of moving parts to that able to do this. So it does take some time, and that's where balancing expectations is critical because a lot of people see this, they can do this on their personal systems, Why can't I do it in the company? Well, there's a lot more that goes into a company, and you've got to make sure that you build this smartly. And so that's where, like, you leveraging frameworks like our AI adoption management framework is critical, because it does give you a incremental approach of how to do this and how to do this correctly. That it's not just flip the switch on. All right, we're an AI first company. So making sure that you do that is critical to ensure that you have all of the knowledge and skills to be able to do this, because it doesn't move as fast as the commercial market does.
Right. So I know I saw you yesterday. I came up here to Dallas, still here. Obviously, you can see where I'm staying. And Jace, I wish you were right next to me. So I'm in a executive or private equity executive financial review meeting, and kind of going through just some of the things I've been working on. And one of them, being White Glove AI. And what one of the executives asked, well, is there anything that we can be doing with AI that would make us more productive? I was like, "Where's my buddy Jason?" Because you know me, I'm just gonna let it out. And I told myself, "Don't say a word." I just said a lot. That's all I said, because I could have went down the rabbit hole just over the last couple of months. I had, there's like 40 different things that I've seen that we could go do, including, we were talking about. I know this is kind of derailing, but we were talking to Gloria, our White Glove AI avatar, who not only has a conversation with you, she can see your environment, her mannerisms. I mean, you eventually, your mind's tricked that you're talking to a real person.
Right.
Anyways, that leads me into this next topic of being an AI first organization. What are your thoughts about that? I know you wanted to challenge the audience and challenge us, our own organization, on that.
Yeah, so that is a great moonshot goal, in my opinion, that to be
Right.
an AI first. And what I'm defining as an AI first is the first decision you make is how can AI help us solve this specific problem. So
Right.
with your discussions, you can't do everything with AI today. Maybe in 3 years, maybe in 5 years, it will be that smart and that effective where you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not where we are today, and you just have to stake small incremental steps, prove it out. And this is exactly what Melissa said, and which really resonated when I listened to her, is they're not taking an all-in approach and just diving headfirst in. They're taking a very methodical, incremental approach. Let's test out one use case. Does that work? Let's do evaluation. Yes, that worked. Okay, let's go on to the next use case. Let's grow that out. Now we can start opening up more and more of the aperture, where we can then become an AI first city, and be a semi autonomous city where the AI is supporting us in doing some of those steps, but that may not be the most glamorous. It may not be the most time effective, but AI can do that maybe 24/7, where your employees are only working 8 hours a day. So that opens you up to allow you for some of those things to be
Yeah.
able to do that much more effectively.
Yeah, and we have some case studies ourselves, right, at White Glove AI. I want to bring up McKinney, and one day we'll say the Woodlands and Pearland and Austin. I hope they're watching, because there's some innovative, you just said it, smart cities and smart leaders.
Yeah.
And what I love is this blend that is spilling in, not just the technology, but what we're familiar with, having been in the or still being in the private sector, but this private sector approach, the good things of it, right, and specifically loss prevention and risk mitigation. And so we actually have a case study with McKinney when we talk about AI first. And, I know there's a lot of CHROs in the human resources department that watch, and some CFOs and just C-suite in general that watch the show. And they're trying to figure out, well, what can we do to be more productive, right? Provide some autonomy, right? And using AI to make sure that our employees are getting answers faster. Do you want to go through some of those examples that we've
Yeah.
actually been a part of?
Yeah, and I think this is where it's critical to start thinking about. We'll go with the CHRO, and most of the human resources. There is a lot of information that an employee has that they need information for.
Right.
How do I get access to my 401k? What is our
Yeah.
parental leave policy? How do I submit that? It can take, in a large organization, I've worked in some of the largest, it can take days of trying to do research to figure out in the internet where that is. It would
Please
be
add a ticket.
amazing to
Please
have a
add a ticket.
chatbot.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure people out there can and you know this too. Oh yeah, you know what? No, add a ticket, create a ticket. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
and
got it.
someone will get back to you, and by the time they get back to you, you've already forgotten
Right,
what the problem was.
exactly.
So this is where I think a lot of internal AI could be very useful. And like you said, we've done work with the city of McKinney also, where we've helped their HR team and be able to learn all of their HR policies. And now they have a chatbot that all the employees can go and ask questions of, you know, what is our parental leave policy? How do I get access to my 401k? How can I increase my contributions? How can I change my medical policies? When is that window open so that I can set that reminder? All these things that it is not talking about the bottom line of the company, but these are real problems that employees have, that they need to have access to information. And if you don't know where the website is, if you don't know where the policy is, it's going to be very challenging for you to do that. So this is a great use case of where you can incrementally embed AI into your organization to show true employee improvements.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? We've been chatting today, and over the last conversations, right? We're going to get into some amazing podcast episodes where we switch gears into the private sector too. So for those out there that are in the private sector, I'm like, I don't work for the government. No worries. There's actually there's a blend here. This can be integrated into the private sector as well. That's what we do,
Yeah,
right?
these
And so
problems are not unique to one
exactly
one industry. These are
right.
common employee issues that everyone has. It doesn't matter if you're a 10-person organization or if you're a 300,000 person organization. Accessing and understanding the HR rules are commonplace.
Yeah, I love that. And we're focusing on the HR department. I want to give a shout out to a colleague of mine. Her name's Natalie Dahl. She's a fractional CHRO. Look her up on LinkedIn. She's very innovative. I met her in New York, and I was really surprised because I've been really pressing, coming from the finance space, you really want a HR business partner. I'll tell you, back in the day, that was very hard. There's a great title, but were they really a business partner when it came down to the financials, the P&Ls, things like that? And what I loved about Natalie, what you're talking about and what you're seeing, Jason, is using AI, yes, from an administrative, finding things, curing your data, curing your SOPs, your benefits packages, etc. But what about performance management, performance reviews, right? I could see AI and I've seen it. We've created bots, we've created some other things where you can use AI in unison with the financials to then come up with amazing performance reviews, and not annual, but we're talking monthly, quarterly, etc. And so I'm really excited about that, on how AI is integrating into the human capital, the human resources side of things, because I really do think it can elevate not just the productivity, but team member engagement, right? Team member engagement. We were talking about education yesterday, right? So that's great for students and kids and all of that, right? And Samantha came on. I love that. But in the private sector, there's still this team member engagement gap.
Yeah.
And I really think we can use AI. And I'm hoping there's people out there. We're challenging you, right? Be the solution. Figure this out and do it with us if you'd like to, right? We got to get this team member engagement level up.
No, and I think that's what's critical to AI adoption. I've done a lot of research in dissecting why AI initiatives are successful and why they failed. And every single example of when they've been successful is when it's been an organization wide initiative. Everyone has a stake in the outcome and are trying to do this. This AI and adoption is not an IT problem. You cannot just throw it to your CIO and say, go solve our
So
AI
agree.
and fix that. You've got to bring the entire team in. And the ones that have been successful have been able to build out that SWAT team that brings in key stakeholders all across the business. Get rid of the organizational boundaries, because organizational boundaries is just communication boundaries, and it prevents people from being able to communicate effectively and understand what their pain points are and how to do that. So the successful adoption is flattening the organization, being able to get everyone as a partner. Everyone has a stake. It's not just a technology stake. It's not just a CFO or a
Right.
HR or operations. Everyone is a part of this, and everyone is a part of making it successful. And that's what will help you in adopting AI, as well as any large scale organizational change, you've got to be able to break down those communication boundaries that challenge your organization.
You just fired me up, Samantha. If we can get that entire clip on LinkedIn today, that was perfect. It's so true. It's not a technology issue. It's not your CIO or whoever is leading the IT department or the tech department, right? This is a communication boundaries thing. And Jason, you just, man, I got chills right now. That was spot on. It's so true. We see it all the time. Yet you see these headliners. Well, that's my CIO or that's my CFO. It's like, wait a
Yeah,
second. No,
yeah,
this is
it's
a
getting prioritized for my CIO, and he's got
yeah.
other things, and he's really focusing on that. So yes, you've got to be able to partner with them, but you cannot continue with this 12-month release cycle. You've got to be able to be a bit more nimble and be able to do that. And those will be the opportunities that will make your AI adoption much more successful. Don't focus on your traditional waterfall approach. Be able to start focusing on being nimble, being able to solve problems quickly, but do it as a cross-functional team.
I love it. All right, so we got a lot of messages still, right? And what I love about it is people are staying curious. We always say that at the end of the show: stay curious, stay innovative. So people are asking questions. Can you walk through again? What is the difference between what I'm doing on Grok or ChatGPT or Claude, right? What does a GPT mean? What does an agentic workflow mean? What do agents mean? What's the definition of an agent? What's their application? Like, I am confused, right? So, Jason, you spend time with every level of tier. I saw you yesterday. You're in it all day. I mean, you're using everything, right? When we speak about AI first, Jason, you're AI first. I love that. Can you walk us through that again? What is the difference between all of these things? Because people, I think we've always said this. There's so much change every week. There's something happen. Although I think it's starting to cool down, at least for the last week,
Yeah,
which is
it
kind
feels
of
like
nice.
the past week or
We can
so.
breathe.
But I expect something come big with NVIDIA. They're having their big conference this week,
Saw that.
so I know that
Yeah.
they've released some really interesting products, but
Right.
and competitive models and things like that. But I think yeah, it's been a quiet release on the foundational models releases and new services. But yeah, I mean, it's very tough. It's a new emerging. It's moving faster. This technology is moving much faster than anything we've seen in the past.
Right.
We would typically go on 18-month release cycles of new releases coming out. Now we're on like 18-day release cycles of something new coming out. So being able to understand that is hard. I don't have all the answers. I know, some things that are working, some things that are not, some things that are still emerging and have the potential to really be extremely valuable to the companies. But let's start breaking that down. So you've got your generative AI models, the chat GPTs, the Claudes, the Geminis, the DeepSeeks, and all those. And those are really passive AI models. They're waiting for you to provide an input to
Right.
it, and it will then provide you an output. And that output can be many different things from code to, a paper to an email, all these things that will help you solve a problem. So those are passive. And where I see agents going is agents are more active.
Mm,
They're working behind the scenes. They're waiting for a trigger to happen. And then they take that trigger, whether that's a time based trigger, a document is seen, and it will go and process that and be able to perform actions. And within there, there's two different phases. There's the agentic workflows where it does a consistent step by step decision making process. And then you have what people are defining as agents, where it is not a defined step. You're asking the AI to make the decision on how to perform that action.
wow.
So that may be, we can talk about our podcast prep. We have an agent that goes and researches the internet for the most current topics of the day. And it will go and it will identify that. It does all of the research, and then it generates a agenda for us to speak about and gives us some of our talking points. It is not consistent. It is not something that it is defined every day. You must go to this website, you must do
Right.
this processing, and then you must get this output. It's got the ability to be very autonomous on how it solves that problem. So I think that's kind of the way that I bucket those three right now. But someone could release something that completely changes that mindset in the next day or so.
Yeah, spot on. That was super helpful. And for those that want some more help, Jason, you spent a lot of time on the building side of agents, right? Reach out to Jason. It's Jason Hess. He's on LinkedIn, right? If you need any help, or if you can't get a hold of Jason, which he's always on it, so you will. You can
Yeah.
always reach out to me too on LinkedIn, or go to our White Glove AI or the AI Executive page on LinkedIn. Feel free to leave a message in there, and we'd be more than happy to help you and navigate through just these different tiers of AI, right? So exciting. I know we only have 5 minutes. I'm excited later on this week, and I know the episode won't release till later next week. And I know we've done some other recordings, but I'm actually going to be talking to Liam Darmody, who is huge on LinkedIn. Everyone go check him out. He's all about the personal brand. That is the buzz right now. So there's AI, and then there's what's your personal brand. And so for those of you out in the audience, go look him up. And if there's any questions you'd like for me to ask him, make sure to reach out to us. You could always DM me or leave it on our comments or anything like that. Jason, and shoot
Yeah.
some
So
of
you want to
behind the
talk
scenes.
about, we've got a bit more consistency going on with our podcast and our release
Yeah.
schedules. And we've got just a great list of
Whew,
agenda
we're
of
busy.
people coming. Um,
Yeah,
but
let me shoot out
so
some names. Do you want me to shoot out some names, or what are you
yeah,
thinking?
let's go ahead and do that. Let's talk about what our podcast is going to look like for the next couple months.
Yeah. So everybody out there, we have a huge list. I'll talk about some of them. I know there's some that we have under wraps that we're ready to rock here soon. We want to definitely put a big push as we get closer. But we just spoke to Melissa Kraft, the CIO of the city of Frisco. We have Chris Lee that will be coming on. I believe he's and correct me, Jason. So sorry, I for some
He's
reason
the
it's not
CIO of
See,
The city of
Louisville,
Louisville.
right? Yeah. Okay, got it. Then we have Liam Darmody, who will be jumping on. So he's all things LinkedIn, or actually some other platforms, but personal brand and huge presence, huge followership as well. Then we have Paul Carney from Perpeta. Very excited. He's been playing in the AI space and very vocal about it. Then we have Stefan Bomer. I'm so excited. I've met him a couple times being up here in Dallas, and we're actually going
Yeah,
to
very
the
similar to
World.
you. He's a CFO that's AI
That's right.
first.
Exactly. So for all of you in the finance side of things, very excited to go through, and so we'll put him in the hot seat, right? I'm sure I'll have some challenging questions, and I'm going to go deep with him. And then we have Ryan Strong from Stones AI. So there's a lot of sexy, exciting things when it comes to AI, and very similar to Doge or the government entities around the risk mitigation, loss prevention, compliance. Not a lot of people play in that space. I'm so excited for Ryan and Dave over at Stones AI. They'll
And
be jumping
Ryan's going
on.
to have a great conversation. Every time we have coffee together, we have some really thought provoking conversations,
I
which
was gonna
we've
say he
told
goes
each
deep.
other we've got to just do it on the podcast and just debate about a lot of topics of where things are going and what we
Right.
think. And so he's a fun character.
Yes. And I don't know if you've seen him recently, but that beard is getting big. Shout out
Oh,
to Ryan. Ryan, I'm sure
and
you're
the
always
mustache
watching.
too. Don't forget about
The
his.
mustache. That's right. And sometimes he says, sometimes I curl it. I like it.
Yes.
And then really excited about conversation with Jason Wells and Natalie Rhodes. They're over at Adaptable AI in partnership with Now CFO. So they're based out of Salt Lake, Utah, and they're doing a ton of things, right? I need them on the show because I wanted people to see what's going on under the hood. There's a lot of fun things going on in the city of Salt Lake City, and you'd be surprised how many AI businesses are there. I was so surprised. So we're going to be having them jump on as well, and not just on the building side of things, from AI tools, and how you can create close. And we do a lot of things with Lucidus AI. So they're doing some similar things there, but on the sales front, CRM front using AI, and then also financial tools with a company called Fintuition. Then I'm really excited about those in the marketing space, and on the business development outreach. We have Steve Aurora from Signals. I believe the
Oh, nice.
website is getsignals.ai. I can't wait. And I'm hoping actually we do a little bit of a demo potentially because people need to see what we're going to be talking about. So, really cool stuff there. We have Travis Zebro from Momenta Fire. Again, for those of you in the marketing space, Samantha in the background, and those two, Steve Aurora from Signals and Travis Zebro from Momenta Fire. You're going to love that piece from creating GPTs, right, or agents to be your marketing liaisons or content generators, right? Not to spill too much of it, but it was an entire outbound team, right, international team that was helping with content creation, editing, right, proofreading, etc. And when we jumped in, we were able to outfit them with GPTs and agents so that in this case, fortunately and unfortunately, they didn't need to spend on all the payroll. And it got really good. And actually, I'll just stop there because there's far more things that we
Oh
did with
yeah.
them. And
But I
we'll
think the
chat about
great
it.
thing is people have been asking for more episodes. People have been asking for more. So we'll be doing the long interview podcast on Monday. You'll
Right.
have Albert, Nick, and I every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got some ideas cooking for what to give you on Friday mornings, but we'll keep that under wraps until we're ready to officially announce and share with you what we're going to do. But the more you guys ask for it, the more content we'll create for you.
Yeah, and if you want to be on the show, reach out to us, right? That doesn't necessarily mean we'll always pick everyone just from the sake of time and just how the themes and industry themes work. But we'd love to chat regardless if it's not on a podcast. We'd love to chat with you,
You
see
can
how we
jump
can
on
help
the
out.
daily news, and we can talk about different things. I know
Oh,
we've
I
got a
love
few
that.
people queued up to talk about AI and boards that I think would be perfect for these quick 30-minute updates.
So I know I know we're pressed for time here, so I won't go to the rest of the list. Right, we have quite a few guests. I could have went. That was just half of it so far, and so I'll switch gears here just to close this out, Jason, if you don't mind. And so, y'all, thank you so much for joining on. That is it for the AI Executive Morning Buzz this morning. That was some great topics, Jason. Thank you so much, Samantha, behind the scenes. Thank you. Big thanks to Nick. I know he's out in Phoenix, right, at a certain conference right now. So we're so pumped for him. He was just with the SMU crew too. So make sure to follow us, by the way, on our platform so you can see what's going on. I mean, we're going to conferences, we're going to events, right? We're having chats, we're having podcast episodes roll out. There's a ton that we're releasing. So thanks again for joining us. As always, as we say, stay curious, stay innovative. Jason mentioned our run of show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the morning buzz, 7:30 a.m. Central, and then we'll also be releasing our episodes each or just about every week or every other week. So excited! Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.